Is it ready?
Yeah. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You had a chance to look over the minutes. Any additions or corrections? There was one on where I said I was going to meet with Project Concern. There was some spelling or something, I recall. It was minor. But then I ended up not being able to go because when I went to see my doctor Tuesday, he had emergency surgery, so I seen his assistant, and they want my knee x-rayed, so Wednesday I went and got my knee x-rayed. So I did attend the Project Concern, but Commissioner Shealy was there. He could.
Yeah, they outlined budget for 2016-17 year of $320,000. So far we haven't seen a reduction from the state of Kansas on meal or transportation reimbursements.
Well, I guess I'm jumping ahead. I brought that up about the minutes. There was a little bit of spelling anyway. Did you catch that on yours?
I had one here, and it says on the Revitalization Act, I think it's the third page, and it's stated, compared it to what the had talked about earlier. I should probably say compared it to what the commission had agreed to or commission had talked about earlier. However, that would.
Okay.
And then
This is on MRP. So spelling corrections.
yeah, oh, and then last page top there should be meeting instead of. And that's the only additions or corrections that I have.
With those additions, correction, I'd entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
So move.
I second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
2-0 with Commissioner Shealy abstaining. Or abstain, however you want to put it.
Yep, abstain. I'll abstain. I was not here.
Okay, committee report.
Okay, now you want to go into Project Concern meeting?
Yeah, Project Concern meeting last Wednesday outlined budget for 2016-2017 of $320,000. We still provide key transportation. Public transportation delivered via reimbursement from the state of Kansas, and Meals on Wheels, and 2 senior centers in Effingham and Atchison. The proposed budget is $320,000. They're not expecting any. They haven't seen any cutbacks yet from the state of Kansas on either meal reimbursements or transportation as of yet. So.
Was there any further discussion about replacing that one van?
Yeah, I think they built into the budget for the 2016-17 year to possibly replace it. So there was some little bit of discussion as that. So.
Okay. Do you have anything, Commissioner Knoll?
I had to miss a kneecap meeting because I was out of town, and that was Thursday, but they had a quorum, so they, I guess, didn't miss me. That's the first one I've had to miss.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you have anything you want to report? Report of elected official, Pauline?
Working on elections and taxes. Going okay.
And you have valuations, is that end of October or is that 1st of October?
Basically, well, I tried to get it September 1st, but September 30th, but it could be. I still haven't got any split yet from the appraiser's office. So. Continuous. Military ballots go out Saturday, so they'll go out Friday here.
Okay, now I guess we're up to new business.
As directed, I've prepared a letter to Tex Inc. terminating service effective January 31st for your consideration. The original would need to be signed by the three of you.
You said December 31st?
I'm sorry, January 31st,
Sure.
2017.
Well, you probably did say that.
Effective at noon of January 31st.
Yeah, we thought that would be better than doing it at midnight. So,
And that's the 120 days?
That's 133 days from today.
This termination of agreements based upon advisory board, EMS advisory board for Atchison County to run the service itself.
Yes.
Okay.
You had a chance to read through it, I'd entertain a motion to send Tech the ambulance service agreement notice of termination.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 3-0. You need how many signatures? 3?
How many copies?
I just need one original to give to them, but I
I
didn't,
guess we need one to put in the folder.
so we need 2 originals.
Or, yeah, that's one.
That 120 days will start as of today, or will it start as of will they need to get back with us?
No,
What's
it
this?
starts.
Starts today?
Thank you.
Here's a copy.
Yeah, I've got, I'll just take it if you don't want it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, candidly, the 120 days is irrelevant as long as it's more than 120 days notice. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Minimum of 120 days, I
Right.
believe, is
Right.
what.
So now, after the vote, Wes can contact the ambulance advisory board and get some input, and then we can proceed, correct?
Yes, you should.
Okay.
It's a good idea to contact the EMS advisory board.
Yeah, yes, okay. Then he'll get back with us. Do we have any other new business? Because our first appointment is Dr. Epley at 1:15, and he's not present yet. Do we want to do this, this is not really new business, this would be more old business that we didn't do last week. Void this check.
Want to review that again, Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
We're gonna have counselor or clerk notify press with that document to press. Just
Yeah.
assume that suffices press release.
Well, I'd be happy to do that. I'd need to know who you want to send it to.
Care Radio and Atchison Daily Globe.
Yeah, you could also we could issue it on our website. That would
Put
be
it
a
on
good
the
spot. Or
website.
social media.
How would I do that? Send it to Wes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real clerk. Yeah. So we need to approve.
I'd entertain a motion that we void this check and do not reissue for the amount of $489.28 to R&S Automotive LLC, 920 Commercial.
So
It already been, there's notes here that it's by Joe Bo, due to it's already been paid with a credit card, so this would be like double paying it.
Okay, so moved.
Been moved second.
Second.
Been moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Whereabouts do you want us to sign it, Pauline? Just anywhere, or?
I guess, probably on the top, right there, somewhere by the, yeah. Section. Is this something?
On here?
Well.
We haven't signed
that's
off.
Okay, I'll hold on to it until you get this.
Well, we have a few minutes. I guess we can look through these. We'll look through those. Wait for Dr. Epley. There's just one place.
Yeah, I think so.
Or was there, do we have to sign again on the, payroll? We have to sign that separately. don't we?
Hello?
Hello?
Is it okay that I come in?
Sure, you're right on the time.
No?
Hi, Paul.
Oh,
How are
yeah.
you?
Pardon me. Excuse me. It's payroll too. Good?
I think I went with this pack.
Yeah.
You want to step up here, Mr. Epley? Or sit up here, closer? Just to make you aware, we do film our meetings now, so just to make you aware, we do film our meetings, so this will be,
Where's the camera?
Right up there.
Right up there.
Okay. Great.
You're on candid
I
camera.
hope the glare on my back of my head didn't bother you. Well, I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to address you briefly this afternoon. I won't stay long. I know you've got important matters to deal with. Bill, it's great to see you back in the,
feels good to be back.
back in the lineup. It's been a long process. I know you're making good progress, so that's great. I am John Epley. I think you all know me pretty well. I've kind of worn you out probably with my cards and my presentation, but I hope not too much. I do want to let you know that I'm very sincere in my desire to become your state representative. I am on the Republican side of the voters ballot, and I really again appreciate having this opportunity. I have really come to this as a result of my involvement with USD 409. I've been on 409 for about 6 years and became not only mildly frustrated but very frustrated over our lack of honoring the funding formula that we were dealt with from 1996. For the last 6 years, all we've had are cuts on USD 409, and they're significant cuts. Our base state aid per pupil, which is, I'm still trying to find out how that figure is derived, but has been cut about 12% since 2010. So it's been very hard for our local school district to function. And as I've gone out and canvassed
the other school districts in USDs in the district that I want to represent, they also have experienced a 10 to 15% funding decrease. And when your operating capital and your operating costs go up, it makes it very difficult to run a school district. Just some statistics on education briefly. Our teachers are the 38th in the United States pay, so that's not very good. We fund public schools 29th in the United States, and yet our students are functioning at about 10th in the United States. So we're doing pretty well as far as what we do in our schools, in our public schools, how we perform, but we're certainly not rewarding our teachers or administration, I think, appropriately, and it's been very, very difficult. We've cut a lot of positions, we've had some attrition, and the future didn't look very bright. And block grants were ruled unconstitutional, so I'm excited to tell you, as you probably know, we're going to come up with a new funding formula in the next session. Obviously getting a lot of input and guidance on that right now. You may be reading about that. In addition to schools, it really falls back to our budget, to our budgetary process, and to how we have revenue in the state of Kansas. And those have been cut significantly because of a focused ideology on business growth, which to an extent has been successful, but not as successful as fast as we would like. And because we're in a very difficult economy in Kansas with commodities down, oil down, even airline production down, it's really had an impact on the Kansas economy very badly. And so we have to look at our whole tax structure from the top down as a legislature and look at what we can do to derive a more balanced revenue in the state, because we really haven't had balanced revenue. And you hear this talked a lot about the LLC turn back, and I do think that'll be at the top of the heap to look at, along some other things related to the income tax and possibly sales tax, so we have adequate revenue to provide basics of government in this state. Most of you know we've had cutbacks in the DOT, we've had cutbacks with, or at least borrowing from capers, allotments, and we've cut back on adult services. So, not just a little bit, beyond the bone, bare to the bare bone. And so it's been a real problem for us going forward. I am looking for your support in the next election, which is November 8th, and I just wanted to reach out to you as commissioners, and most of you know me pretty well. I'm a local person. I've been here 35 years. I'm a Kansan all the way. I'm a product of public schools and both Kansas State and University of Kansas. So I'm happy to answer questions about anything related to the state agenda, budget, schools, whatever you would like to ask me about, or any of the other social issues. But I know you've got a tight schedule, so I don't want to take up too much time. But I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Any questions?
From a local government perspective, I think what we've seen from the state level down is home rule. Home rule is disappearing, and that gave there are very few exemptions. KAC had noted that prior to the last 4 or 5 years, there'd only been about a handful of exemptions, maybe 12 tops, and now I believe there's about 40 some exemptions. And for us as a local government, at the state level is we like to have the autonomy, and you've had the experience on the school boards, as far as having the autonomy to make decisions. One of the things, it's one of many things, but the property tax levy that goes into effect for 2018. And I think everybody understands that it's good to have good tax base, adequate taxes, not overtaxing the burden, but at the same time, from us, it really hamstrings us. If something happens in one county, but maybe across the whole state, well, if you're above CPI, your CPI, let's just say for sanctity's sake, is less than 1%, and just say major catastrophe knocks out half your taxable valuation. There's not very many exemptions, so I think from our perspective, if we could get some respect from the state, state legislatures just getting in contact with such as state legislatures and giving us some lack of respect, basically, is what we've seen. And so if you can find a happy medium, or if you have any, I don't know if you've seen a whole lot in the news about that.
Well, on that legislation, there were 10 exemptions outlined, and I can't enumerate all 10 of them.
Bonds and interest is one.
But
Yeah.
And I do think that's going to be looked at again in the next session. And I think, not to say it's going to be a toothless giant, but I think this legislation is going to continue to be, be made more moderate in its approach with more exemptions. But I think a lot of those constituents I spoke to were excited to have a little more control in their taxation. And so it's a balance. And I think as we look at the exemptions going forward, maybe we can make it to where it addresses some of the concerns that our commissioners are going to have in trying to run local government with some autonomy and not being told by the state what you can't do. So I know that's going to be looked at again, and I'll keep you, if I'm successful and get elected, I'll keep you posted on how that evolves, because I know that was a real hot button issue last session.
You're right. There is some merits on keeping stuff in check. At the same time, it's like we don't get to test the state's budget. If the state budget increases over CPI, we don't get the luxury. And it's just keeping that line of communication. I think has been
Well, I don't
what we
think it
struggled
gives
with.
my county commissioners credit for the work they do with their own constituents. And I look to you guys to represent them on how much you're going to have to increase their taxes, and it kind of takes that relationship away from you a bit, the way I look at it. So that's the law currently, and we'll look at the list of exemptions and see if we need to broaden that, because some of the catastrophic things aren't well addressed, as you mentioned. So
That and it seems like the lack of expansion of Medicare in the state. I believe it's Medicare. Is that correct?
it's Medicaid.
Medicaid, I'm sorry.
Medicaid expansion, and I can touch on that briefly. Trust me, as a doctor, I can talk to you way too long about that. I'm going to say that was tamped down to the point that there was no discussion in committee about it. It never got to a committee point. I think at least this year we'll get to a committee point, and we may look at a Kansas plan that addresses the concerns by many constituents and many folks about being budget neutral, being tied to folks that are working or trying to work, that are working poor, that are at least have a job. And the third thing is that if the federal government reneges on the program or takes it away or takes it or stops it, that we, within the rules and regulations of conducting insurance, can cancel and cease to do business in our own program. And these are the things that the Kansas program is addressing. The Hospital Association has a good plan. It's called Bridge to a Healthy Kansas. I've given presentations on it. I think it has merit. We just have to talk about it and try to, I think, through talking and through dialogue and through committee, maybe we can come up with a Kansas plan. Indiana did this. And, one of the vice presidential candidates, Governor Pence, actually helped author it. So it was a compromise on how to make Medicaid expansion happen and capitalize on those tax dollars that are flowing out of our state. To date, $1.3 billion of Kansas taxpayer money has flowed out of the state of Kansas to other states to help with their Medicaid expansion. And when you look at the hospitals and not necessarily locally, but some hospitals are having a terrible time in rural Kansas, and you look at what's right frankly, for the Medicaid population that are working, that are trying to better themselves, it's not good. And it is an opportunity that the federal government wants to give back our tax dollars to our state. And I think it's something we need to continue to discuss and see if there's merit in it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I mean, it affects, several of our agencies are affected by
It-
Medicaid reimbursements from, Senior Village to, EMS, reimbursements. I mean, health department, probably jail, I would assume. So that's just 4 agencies right there off the top that it affects us.
There would be more funding available through that for those agencies once this work was enacted, but it's going to take a hearing and a vetting process for it to occur, because there's been so much pushback so long. It's going to take a lot of education, and that's why you have committees to talk about these things.
Those are probably my 2 biggest concerns.
Can't think of
Gary,
anything.
you got anything?
My concern is Kansas financially is in sad shape. What would be part of your plan? Property taxes are about as high as they're going to be able to get. What's your opinion of increasing sales tax? I think that's a very fair tax. The more you make, the more you spend. The more you spend, the more you pay.
So briefly, I mean, that's an excellent question, because I can sit here and pontificate all day and tell you we need more revenue, but not tell you how. And it's really pretty simple, and you touched on it. I mean, you know, you've got three parts to it. People like to use the three-legged stool analogy. We really don't have a very significant leg of income tax in the state right now. We've enjoyed good income tax breaks thanks to Governor, you know, Brownback, you know, both in regards certainly to business growth and in regards to individuals. We do have a reasonably robust sales tax, and we have, I think, property taxes. There's anybody that doesn't tell me their property taxes aren't too high. So I think property tax, anything happening with that that's not going to happen. I think sales tax, there's lukewarm interest in increasing that, and in income tax, I think there's high interest in putting back at least a percentage, if not the whole thing, on LLCs and business. I mean, that's what I hear from constituents. Now, will I represent that? Well, if it's presented right, and the big thing, if it's earmarked properly to go to the things that it needs to go to, which are schools, K through 12 education, to go through some of these services that have been cut at the state level, I think, yes, I think I could get on board with at least putting back some of that. That's not meant to be anti-business, it's just meant we've got to get out of the budget woes that we're suffering right now. So I think the S chapter corporation deduct, the LLC deduct, that which is 0% right now, I think incrementally part of that will probably potentially go back on, and I think you may hear discussion about income, individual income versus sales tax, also to increase revenues in the state. I'm not getting on, I'm not saying I'm supportive of that yet. I need to hear more about that. But I think, and then there's other tax, for lack of a better term, loopholes or deducts that this state allows that I think are going to be looked at heavily. I think, for example, the first $2,300 of assessed valuation on a home, you pay no tax on that. And I think that's going to be looked at to go back on. I mean, that's just an example. On the other side, I think sales tax needs to be looked at on food and on professional services. That was looked at in the last session, and that was closely voted down. So I think there's going to be a lot of flux, and I think there'll be a lot going on in how we process taxes for in the next session going forward. We're going to have more revenue. I mean, that's the bottom line. We're revenue starved, and we borrowed from too many places, and it's going to take years to fix that. It's going to take some time. But I appreciate your question. I don't know if I answered it, but I think it's going to be close between sales tax and I think possibly personal income tax. And I think it's, I hate to say a given, but I think most of the legislators I've talked to and constituents are ready to see some of the LLC and S chapter corporation loopholes at least put back in part.
What about additional fuel tax?
I'm not prepared to talk to you about that. I don't know enough about that. Our fuel
Okay.
tax is not one of the lowest in the United States. It's pretty high. I you know, just talking off the cuff today, I would say I think that'd be down the list of things to increase, but I think it'd be something to consider.
Yeah, I think right across the river, they're what, 6 or 7 cents less?
It's 6.7 cents less. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's hard, especially in a border situation. That's hard.
It makes it tough.
Yeah, it does.
It makes it real tough.
So again, the next time we get to vote is, you know, November 8th, and I really, to the three of you and to your constituents you represent, I hope that, you know, you'll at least give me consideration. I'm a local yokel. I've been here 35 years, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm ready to shift gears a little bit, and I made arrangements for that to happen if I am so fortunate to get elected. So,
Great.
thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming up.
Yeah, thank you.
Always glad to see you.
Yep, appreciate it very much.
Yeah, just a quick.
Okay.
I just wanted to introduce you to our new person. This is Steve Noyes. He's going to be an adult ISO. This
Nice
is
to meet
Pat
you, sir.
Henderson, which you met yesterday. Jeff Shealy, Bill Cole, and Eric Knoll. And Pauline Lee is our county clerk for a little while longer. So,
His last name again?
Noyes, Noyes. And he was an officer over in the state of Missouri for quite a while. So
Okay.
anyway, that's all I wanted.
Already on board, or?
Welcome.
Already on board, started yesterday.
Okay.
So
Nice to
Yep.
meet you.
Welcome.
Good luck.
Welcome to you. Yes.
All right, see y'all later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Just do whatever she says and you'll be all right.
I'm married, I already know.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Got one for everybody all the way around. Pauline give Eric a book, and the last one was done in 2007, but Jeff thought we've had one since then. That's it.
I thought we did one like within the last 2-3 years.
Right,
He's got the
3 years
book.
ago,
He's got the
I
book.
came back and I wanted to do another one, and I had the bids, and I was told to have this other guy do it. I don't remember his name. We went around, we did all the buildings, everything was done, and I spent several months trying to get him to finish it up. He never did, and so finally I gave up on it. And then, as a matter of fact, Community Corrections wanted something of it, so I got hold of him again to try to at least get that for her. And as far as I know, they haven't got it. It's been just can't get any from it, and it's now so old. It's never built. He had some other interests going on, building houses and other stuff.
Okay.
So we worked it on. This is the last one that was done as far as I know in Atchison County. And I've got this book here, if anybody wants to.
I gave him mine.
Yeah, we were.
I've got one here. I was.
So there's something that goes with it. This is highlighted the things that have not been corrected yet. So
We was talking about that earlier. What has not been accomplished from this?
everything's in that right there. And any of the questions that you have on it, I can tell you why they're not corrected.
Because we didn't have the money.
The biggest one is the health department. The ADA compliance was coming into it. It's going to be a big project, and it was put on the back burner, and they finally decided that it was okay to come into the wall side. But I still don't think it's quite there because of the expenses, no one wanted to do anything further with it. So also down there, just while we're talking about it, the roof down there is in horrible shape, and it really needs a new roof. So I've said that several times in the past few years too. So.
That's the first time I've heard that, because I know they were running flooring in there, and I'd never heard anything about the roof.
Maybe I haven't brought it up since you've been here, but I
You brought it up before, but it's been a while back.
yeah.
I may not have been privy to that, but that's, I believe you. It's an old building.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the county that needs done. It's, I'm never able to, so.
When you say it needs a new roof, was it just, what does it need? I mean,
new roof.
well,
That's a flat roof, so it needs the
It's
paper
on
and the
that flat
top.
roof. I have photographs of it I could bring up. And that's from 3 or 4 years ago that I was talking about it.
well, is that like kind of like the jail we were talking about, putting like a membrane type roof on it, or what was the?
It has close to the same type of roof that it has now, and then we can put on something like a TPO or a rubberized roofing or something like that. That's probably not going to have granular on it like it is now. It's probably going to be a slick, smooth surface, probably white. That's would be TPO, and it's tough enough that you actually can't tear it. It's pretty good stuff. It's supposed to last 30 years minimum, and they're saying 50, 60, but they don't know yet. Which would be nice.
Do you remember what that was going to cost, or?
I don't think anybody to.
Okay, I didn't know whether there was an estimate at one time, so.
No, I had a roofing company go up there and look at it once to determine if they could fix it, and they said no. So that's as far as I got with me, because I was getting indication of being funded. So, if you wanted to guess, I would say something around $60,000 to $80,000. Just a rough guess. I mean, it's very rough. but you know, it is an entire store.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good sized roof. The location's gonna be complicated for getting a crane or something to bring materials out, so there's gonna be some problems with it as far as the location and stuff. And also, I think the air conditioning was just burned up today there at the health department. I went home and checked it out, the compressor wasn't running, so it's a Freon issue, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do Freon. But my understanding, the water's running out of the compressor, so,
Oh, that don't sound good.
no. And as old as the unit is, I would think you probably want to replace the entire thing. If it is the compressor, replace the entire thing, I would think.
Now, who is going to be doing the work? I mean, somebody get,
Somebody's looking at it, I'm not sure
okay,
who it is, but that's what I was told by the health department, not by the person.
okay. Is that unit on the roof?
No, it's in the half of it's in the basement, just like a house. The other half's outside, just like a
On,
house.
towards the alley side?
Yeah, it's right out there by the alley. It's behind that little, there's a little fence area that's behind. But the fan on it sounds pretty rough too, so I think that it's probably about ready to go too. Maybe I shouldn't be bringing all the batteries.
Well, you wanna know what the sad part of all this is? We had this in 2007, and you look back through all that, there's quite a bit right there, dollar-wise, to fix.
Yes. Now, some of that stuff is things that, like the window up on the court floor, they're talking about putting in new windows. So I think they're going to fix that when they do that. And that's been planned for a long, long time, but I don't know that it's ever been done yet. But other than the one with the health department, I don't think anything else is really expensive.
You mean they were gonna put like more shatterproof or something?
They were talking about putting, because right now they have plate glass, and somebody would break that, they'd have big pieces of glass. That would be very
More
dangerous.
protection.
So it needs, as you know, a lower place for somebody in a wheelchair to ride on. And it also has, for somebody that's blind, just sticks too far out into the hole. Now that part of it, we could just set a vase or something, or a flower, artificial flowers, and fix that, but it won't fix the lower. Now your office now is fixed, right?
Yeah, we have a, well, it's always been fixed, but we have
Well, it was
a, yeah,
kind
well,
of.
it's, we have a.
What would be the time, what's their timeline on, would this be like right away, immediate? When would they?
As far as doing surveying,
Mhm.
I assume within this month. And I assume that they'll give us a book like the one I gave you or something similar to it. Hopefully it'll be a lot thinner.
Yeah. Well, hopefully digital copies too.
I think it says 3 copies or something. I told them I wanted, and then out of that, I'm hoping to get also electronic files so I can print out each department to hand it to each department.
Mhm.
No sense in giving a department the entire book, but I think we had 4 of those to start with, and that was the only one I knew was left.
I had one.
Okay, I don't know where the others went, so,
No, I don't have, I had one.
but I hung on to that pretty tight.
The commissioners might have had ones up in the other, but I don't know what happened to all the books.
Probably did.
I
don't know.
What happened to all the books.
And also on the doors, I've got a thing here whenever you want to look at it, on the doors to the courthouse.
So, one of the facilities is county extension office. We're required to do.
We talked about that, and that's going to be scratched off.
Okay, okay.
But it was in the previous.
Yeah, I saw
assessment.
that. It's kind of interesting.
I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference in the price though, because. it's-
No.
I even question the county lake.
Yeah, I could probably see that one because that's actually owned. That's a facility that's owned and operated by us.
Outside toilets, and what else would you look at? I mean,
I don't know all the ADA requirements, but I'm guessing there's something that's in there that is ADA or has to be
Where's
ADA
that at?
compliant. The lake, I'm sure that there's something that pulls it into ADA compliance.
I have concerns about the bathrooms, I have concerns about the access to a place to fish, and I have a concern about the shelter that's out there.
What was the last?
The shelter.
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 Shelter out.
Right now, the only way
Storm out.
somebody in a wheelchair can do it is just dive in. I mean, it's just, I don't know if you've seen it.
It's been so long and I wouldn't have paid
Stairs.
any attention to that, so.
It's like stairs and stairs. Actually, a ladder, it's that you climb down.
To the shelter?
To the storm shelter.
Oh, storm shelter, okay.
Not the,
Shelter house.
that's what I was thinking of too.
I'm going,
When you-
what?
Now, this is
I
one,
thought
a
maybe
tornado,
it-
and you close the lid.
I
Yeah.
thought maybe it got worse down to the lake.
And the other one that I don't know, and Jeff probably knows more than I would about it, is the sports complex. That's county owned. But it's new enough. But I don't know if it's something we want to have her do a walkthrough since we're doing it or not.
That's a good question. We probably should. I mean, if yeah, in the event of something happening, that would, since we do own the facility, it probably should be.
And that's something I'd have to add to it. So.
Well, you just replace your county extension office.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to change much on the price because it's new enough and it's not too much to it. But I think
Sure. Yeah, that'd be good.
pass that around. That's the same one as I gave last week, Steve. That's on the page.
You had the fees mixed up last, this is corrected?
This is correct, yes. That's the reason why I handed them out one at a time.
We got two of the same here. Sorry.
11,000, might as well say. Now, this one of the doors, that's not fixing the doors, that's just for looking at it and their advice, their plan, and what,
Last draw up a plan,
Blueprint.
blueprints, and the bid documents. And we walk through the bid. That's just the management side of it, it's not the construction side. That would all be extra. But I don't, after talking to the state, I don't see any way that you ever get it live in without going to an architect. And I'm not even sure how architects do it.
And keep them doors. Yeah, and keep the originals.
Yeah, any change to them, the state's pretty adamant about keeping them just the way they are, so.
How did the Memorial Hall get to add those doors that they've got? Those weren't like the original.
1960, they took out all the original wood doors and they put cheap aluminum windows and doors in. So they completely, the silhouette isn't the same or anything originally. Now they're a lot closer to the original silhouette, but they are all aluminum. So that's how we were able to do that. Now here at the courthouse, just so you know, the windows are not original. Wood,
Mhm.
just sections. The box and everything, the is the trim, all that is good. But the sashes we took out in the 60s,
70,
70s. they were-
77 or something.
So that's a plus to us then, right?
No.
I would think that they would look at it a little differently where they're not the original windows, but they still seem pretty set on being wood.
I don't think I'd spend a dime on them if they're wood. I mean, to
I
see
agree
where
with
that,
you, but-
because, I mean, in all honestly, in all
Yeah, but well,
honesty,
if that's
that-
what you gotta go back with.
put plastic over them.
Don't we have some, I
You
mean,
can get a laminated,
I was gonna say you
that
could
looks
get
just
laminate
like, I
that
mean,
looks
it's
just like
actually
wood. It
wood,
would-
that's aluminum.
Right, I mean, they've got,
Inside is laminated wood, it's actual oak wood. It's not cheap, but at least you're talking a long time before they do any work.
right,
These, and what they're looking at it as, well, this building was built in 1897,
96, 97 is
and the original windows lasted until 1970.
well, but they're not gonna last that long. I mean, it's like, if we're gonna have to go back to everything originally, or we're gonna put wood heat in. You know, we've got upgrades to everything else, why couldn't we have a better window?
I agree with you. I've had discussions with him about it. I mean, the seals and the energy efficiency and the maintenance to them and everything is just so much better than a modern window.
We better get back this, what's your guys'
Which one? There's two.
these two.
So, first on the ADA, scope of service, if you take out the CAG extension office and then add the sports complex,
And that is both complexes here and at Effingham.
do we own
hours until you
Okay.
get them paid off.
even the Effingham one? I thought for some reason that changed ownership out there. I thought it's not
No,
in the
once
It
it
will
gets
when
paid
it-
off,
Okay.
it will.
Well, then we both.
But the
Well, I mean, if we're gonna do
building,
one,
Are
and
you
it's,
just doing how people get to there? I mean, like the
Well,
building? Because the
If you
building's
look
really
at the
not
book,
out.
they go through a checklist of,
Everything.
yeah, the bathrooms, the drinking fountains, the access.
If the building is not open to the public, do you have to have
I'm not sure about that.
that?
like the recycling center.
This
It's
book
not
here,
open anymore.
this book here lists the judges' quarters here as not being accessible because, and that we would have to change it if we had a judge that was in a wheelchair. So apparently that applies to employees as well. That's what I would read it
You just have to make accommodation.
as. Right. But that's,
They've changed a lot of that now. It's
when this here was published the first time, they said if we could leave it like it is until somebody became in need of a judge's chamber that was in a wheelchair, and then we would have to change it.
To answer your question, there are a lot of ambiguities in the American Food Distributing Act. And even a place that isn't accessible to the public would still be accessible to employees, and they may need the accommodation, so.
You don't have any idea how long this plan is good for? Like, we do part of it this year, part of it next year, is it a 3-year plan, 5-year plan?
Previously, the way it was, if you worked on it and you were trying your best with the funds you had to get things done, it was okay, but it's kind of changed a little bit since then, because we've had so many years to do it, that, and Pat could probably answer that more than I could. I mean, this plan itself, I think about every 4 or 5 years, I recommend that you go through and do this, to see where you're not ADA compliant, but as far as, I mean, right now, somebody comes through here and then they go get an ADA attorney, and that attorney will walk through here and he will write you up and you you don't have a choice, you have to fix it. That's just the way it is, as far as I know, is that not?
Well, I don't know that you want to give advice to the world on how to put a thorn in our side, but I mean, the ADA is 25 or 26 years old now, so it has been in effect a good long while. You make really a good point that if you're going to do the evaluation, you need to follow through and do the fixing of stuff. And I haven't seen the list of things that haven't been done. I'm glad you have that. I'm glad you're keeping track of it.
Did I have that?
Joe has
Oh,
it.
I have it.
Would you have to go back to those before you started any new?
Right now, I would like to see a whole new book that shows where we're.
So those would be reevaluated and put back into the new book, so if it hasn't.
But they wouldn't take priority. Would those older ones take priority over, say, the
The
doors?
biggest priority I would have would be, and I don't know that much about it, would be to make sure that everybody can get to the services. Because you cannot deny somebody the service. And that's what I've been told over and over. So if you can provide the service, even though you wouldn't be ADA compliant, you would be all right, the way I understood it. And I'm basing that on the fact that our third floor is not accessible to anybody in a wheelchair. And we had survey after survey done before we installed the elevator. And I was told at that time that because we're willing to come down and provide that service, then we're okay. Because this building was, if you built this building today, it would not. But that's what I was told. Now, whether that's true today or not, I don't know. That's the reason why I think it would be a good idea to have a survey done. Because right now, we're not doing anything. Right now, I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be. And it would be nice to have an architect because the walls are so ambiguous and everything is to get it fixed. They have the knowledge to know what actually needs to be done.
Well, I don't really see as we have a whole lot of choice, do we?
I'm ready to act. I think we probably need to move forward and get the ADA survey, compliance survey going.
With that being said, I'd entertain a motion to give Joe, notify River Bluff to go ahead and start the ADA survey.
So moved.
Second?
Then move to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any further discussion? And I make 3-0. Motion carried.
Still a little foggy on the doors. So, they've already got a plan in place on how to do that, or this is just their suggested, or they get in and look at it?
I called them, and they tried to look on the pictures that they've had in the past. They couldn't find any, so I took pictures of everything with a, a tape measure in it, so they could see the sizes. And I had pointed out that the one door is less than 32 because that's something I already knew. And all the other issues we had because they're opening in, they're pretty hard to open. We was talking about we wanted an opener that was electric assist. And she incorporated all that into her, but she has not physically looked at the board yet. But she should have a pretty good idea because also she has said that there's been several other courthouses with this same problem because they're trying to secure their courthouses and their doors, some of them are open.
So is this using the existing courthouse doors, or looking at if it's even possible?
This is
would
just for
be
the
seeing
client.
If it's possible to.
Yeah,
reverse them.
okay.
So she's hoping to just reverse them, trim them back up, put openers on it where they both open on this one, so where it gives you the 32-inch opening.
One thing to keep in mind is, are the current doors, is there any possibility you can put fob electronic access on those? That's my number one question.
I think there is, and I can add that to it. That's up to you guys.
That's something we're gonna have to address at some point with courthouse security.
Well, yeah,
Well, how
we
do
need
you
to
do that during office hours?
Well, it would just be
After hours?
correct.
Well, I don't see where very many people would be in here after hours.
Well, if there's events or stuff going on, we've always like concerned about certain offices being
Yeah.
locked. It's also a tracking method of who's going in and out of offices. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you would have a fob system.
Now, are you talking about the entire courthouse or just the doors?
Well, in this case, we're just talking about the access for these two doors.
So if you're doing that, you'd only want one door where you have fobs, right? Because that's where everybody would just have to come in and out that.
I assume, I don't know. I don't know on those bigger doors how that access would work.
Well, I mean, you want both sets where you could use it because you're saying that you just want it where somebody comes in after hours. So they can use this door just as easy as that.
I think you
could get by with just the one.
You probably want to look at both. I mean, it's something long term that you got to think about when you do these. I mean, I'm just going to say this is I don't know how feasible. Well, I just don't know how feasible it is that we can still stay in ADA compliance and still keep the existing doors. Is what I'm saying.
Well, but how can we how can we get rid of those doors? Even if they won't be ADA compliant, how is the historical nature of them going to allow us to
The
replace
Historical
them?
Society likes to keep offices. They like to keep facilities in use. They will work with you. As another measure, local planning commissions have authority to override historical society methods, and that's been proven. I know it's been proven in this community. I've seen other communities where they've had to override the historical society when it's something that becomes so unfunctional, so costly to keep or preserve certain things. I'm just saying that we need to have it. I don't know. I'm just saying that we need to keep all options open. That we may not be able to use these current doors going forward.
Well, I agree. I mean, I just almost didn't think that was an option. So, yeah, I would definitely.
I mean, am I wrong? I mean, as far as the historical, I've seen planning commissions override.
They definitely
Historical.
don't have the final say, the local does.
Okay.
But you have to run it by them.
Oh no, I agree with you.
First.
Correct.
And then
Yes.
to get it the other way, I think is pretty tough. But I think that they're going to probably keep those doors unless, that's the way I see it. Whether they're efficient or anything else is but I think that because of the way that was worded, she also said if it wasn't 32 inches wide, she's talking about opening both doors. So if you was going to change the doors, you would of course make one 32,
Sure.
34 wide and then make the other one narrow.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I assume that she's thinking of keeping the old doors.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking, Commissioner Olbrock could point about windows. How feasible it is to have, wooden windows, or you've got to look at efficiency, or long-term savings over time. Functionality. I mean, what happens today could be different 20 years down the road. So.
Steve, from what I've seen, though, they don't care about it. They really don't. It's
Okay.
just- I wish they
Sure.
did, but.
Well, I sure would be remiss for not putting up as good a fight to have them placed more efficiently. I mean,
Sure.
I'm ready to make that fight because, like I say, I don't want to spend a dime like on these windows that are another 30 years are going to be in the okay shape we are.
We're talking about the doors. You're okay
Right,
with
but-
them
Correct.
being
Yeah.
Like they are.
Well, maybe not. I mean, it just depends on. This is just a preliminary. We don't know what it's going to cost to actually fix them.
Right.
So, when that price comes back, and if it's too much, I'd fight to go with something modern, or
Okay, well, the reason why I'm asking is when she's here, I'll tell her that she needs to be thinking about modern, and is it feasible to do it?
Right.
Can she come back with like 3 different options, 2 or 3 different options when she goes through
The more
it?
you
Two.
go, the more it's gonna cost.
Well, I mean,
Tell
like
her
so
I'll
much
give-
per hour? I
I'll give
mean-
her 2 pieces of candy.
Well, I would say that if you're looking at different options, the best thing would be for you to talk to her when she comes down to do the
Sure,
ADA.
absolutely.
I think we would want to look at current doors fixed up that would pass and what it would cost to get better doors, more efficient doors,
Modern.
modern, and see what the cost is, and we'll go from there. And we'll probably end up going with what we got because of the cost of the new doors.
Well, I'll ask her if she can do us a ballpark on the different options.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we can determine which option we want to go for, so she doesn't have to draw 3 sets of specs.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
because I don't want to commit to one project and then we get the price tag and it's like, no, there's no way.
Yeah, it's there. I mean,
Even that a costly option could be a scab or, you know, making it work instead of
Sure.
actually being a really good option. It may be just making the existing doors work. Well, that's a strike again at 2. So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, I'll pass it on to her and see if she can come up with some price ballparks.
Okay.
And we're replacing them, if it's even possible, and doing what's there and what she thinks the ballpark would be for that. So give us some more ideas before we actually commit.
Sounds good.
But she has to come down for the ADA anyways.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that'll work out good.
Yeah.
Do you need these back? or-
No, these are the originals. Do you want them?
No, I don't need any of them, I just printed them out again. I didn't
So the
know
door
if I
thing,
had
we
a
didn't
book
do
back.
anything to that.
Right.
He wants that book back.
Correct.
And this,
No, that
He
07
was just
book.
giving us
The
an
book,
estimate.
The book you got there in front of you.
Oh, sorry.
do you want that?
No, that's fine, I don't know.
She's going to give us an estimate before we.
The safety committee come up where they would like to have signs on the doors, like the one over here where it's hanging out. That was their want. We were supposed to bring that up to you.
Like the one for the
For the-
driver's license, I
For the
believe.
restroom, is that?
For all offices.
Offices and everything on the main floor.
Most of them have.
Well, I think they want this one that comes out away from the door or something.
I think the clerk and registered deeds and always have 18
It was in a suggestion box. It's really not a safety.
Did that actually
I
hang?
think they were
out?
talking especially like bathrooms and
Don't they
I
hang
thought it
out
said
in
every
the
office.
clerk?
I think it's
Yeah.
offices. I think
Sure.
all the offices.
Yeah, all the clerk and the treasurer and all them down here, they already have it. The restroom doesn't.
I was thinking that, I knew some offices had them, and when they were saying that, I didn't
The
go
one in
into
the
it. but
suggestion box said the restrooms.
Restrooms?
restrooms. Okay.
So, yeah, that's what it said, and that's what we.
Okay.
heard it say.
Maybe it was just the restrooms that didn't get relayed to us quite, but I know that it was it said offices in the email, so,
Okay, I'll get one up to the restroom.
okay.
Is that it?
I think so. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Oh, one other thing. Joe, after we get this, I would like to see the former commissioners be put back because, you know, they served and we need to
On the
honor
pictures.
them again
Okay.
before they get gone. But let's see what we're going to do here first.
Well, this here is held up because I got the board, first one, it was creased in the middle. I just got another one the other day and it was bent about 2 inches out. So it's went back and now they're sending me another one, so that's.
Well, after you get that taken care of, you may put that on
We
your,
may do those ahead of time because, I mean.
well, you don't know where the TV and everything's going to go and
Is it okay to put them all there? Or?
wherever,
I
yeah.
think they'll all fit right there, I think.
They're in the box right there.
Right here? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can just put them, I think they'll all fit there.
All right,
If not, I know they fit to here.
Yeah.
okay.
All right,
All right.
Thank you.
thanks.
Peggy, you're next.
I don't have a lot. I think you all know that the Vandiver trustees were approved by the court, so that's good. We had our first meeting, and the trustees approved the list of purchases that we sent in. I've got one thing for reimbursement that I'll give you.
Okay.
Because we've already bought the van now. And the other thing is, Pat just sent me the accounting bill for the trust. And who it goes to, and it gets paid directly out of the trust, so you need to ask that too.
Reimburse that.
Did you find all the accounts? The CDs, are they all, did you find everything?
No, I did not, so.
'Cause I don't think I have a list of,
I mean, you sent me an email a long time ago and said it looks like we've done more than we thought, but no, I don't have it.
do you have that notebook that Jonathan had?
I'll take a look again. I'll take a look again to see if I have.
So I guess I'll take a look again too, because
Okay, and I'll look again for Pat, but no, I don't think, I've got a Vandermeer file on has not.
okay.
Okay.
I'll give those to you.
Okay.
Still waiting for state survey. Haven't arrived yet. Yeah, several months late, but, yeah,
You said you did get the van bought that you were,
yeah, we got that purchased, we registered it today. So that one's done. And we're working on getting the lights ordered in. So we'll get that piece done next. And then after that, we'll work on our automatic door openers up there.
you have had automatic door? You haven't, okay.
Just that front
I was thinking, it was just the front one? None of the, I was thinking you had one.
No.
Oh, automatic door.
Which
You
is
just got
kind
the-
of odd for a nursing home.
Mhm.
Without ADA, you know, so, yeah.
Well, it's,
We were thinking UMB.
that looks like that would be an easy fix. I mean, easy,
It
because
is.
it's a
It is.
modern,
We got
I mean,
yeah, the bid's there, it's just,
I'll have to go in
Taking
there
one
and
thing at a
check
time.
that and see.
right, but you got the modern, you've got the wide doors, you
Right.
don't have the curbs, you don't have the
Right.
problems that we've got with the
Exactly.
1800
It's just
stores,
the-
yeah.
Stanley garage door opener essentially that we need to get.
Mhm.
Other than that, I don't really have anything new. So you have anything for me?
No?
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Seth?
First, I'm gonna start with that truck number 45 we had to send down to Midway for repairs. I think I was looking here 2 weeks ago to get approval. Well, the approval didn't match the amount that the truck was gonna cost. There was actually a couple thousand more, $6,039.47.
I thought we allowed you up to 6,000.
No, that was,
Oh, that was that last new one truck.
this one was for the turbo. I think we only had approved up to 4,000 on this one. This was before they got it in, they just kind of checked it. And then went and road tested it, and they found the turbo, or the extra stuff with the turbo. So it ended up costing about $2,000 more. But the truck is, I guess, completed now. And we discussed that bill with them back and forth compared to the other one, and all the things were fine, they found out the turbo was fixed.
That's one of the Sterlings.
And I did bring it to you up for that one.
Seth, are you going to this, Northeast Kansas?
No, I don't think I'm gonna make that.
So we were awful told that the wiper blades to be worn, that's nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing on
Steer axle, rear spring, pin and bushing worn, right rear wheel seal, those were not fixed?
I don't believe so. I didn't, I guess I'd
That was in
Most of it
technical
is-
inspection.
Yeah, they look over the truck while it's in there and give us their recommendation on what.
Left side of engine is leaking fluid.
I also had to have a radiator replaced when it got back from there. Most of the radiator stuff was all repaired.
Check with Mayor.
We all even pick up on fence.
With me.
Well, we haven't got a whole lot of choice because this is done fixed, isn't it? So we got to authorize Seth to spend, a total of $6,039.47 on truck 45.
So move.
A second.
And then we also need to think about that left side of the engine is leaking fluid. What is that fluid? Is it
I think that's gonna be the radiator fluid that was even out of there. Cause that was leaking as we took it down there.
soft plug or something like that, or more
No,
hose?
the radiator was
Oh,
shot, so it was even out of there.
So we fixed that.
We fixed that when it came back.
so we need to sign off on this. Issue or something?
You know.
Don't need
just
nothing?
You guys see the POs
Okay.
all on the inside.
Did you, same thing?
Second thing I have is some bids on the concrete for that new salt building. It's all wrecked, everything's done. I don't think have manpower, the capability of pouring something that big correctly. So I went and got some bids. I got one from Martin and one from Botteroff. They're both pretty close in price. Martin had a cheaper price, $3,125. Botteroff was just $3,300. And all they're doing is coming in, doing the final grade, putting the wire mesh down, and actually putting the concrete down, and then doing a room finish on it.
So we got the building up, or you got,
Building, yeah, we got the building up. We just wanted to help on.
how's it look? Pretty good?
Yeah, looks real good. Couple phone calls to the company for a few clarification on the direction.
That's not the price of the concrete though. That's just the.
No, that's just
butter
our
off.
labor.
No, that's just. Margin's pretty slow on stuff. Pretty slow on stuff.
So the seller or whatever, the contractor, basically they were just selling it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
so
had
they
to
didn't-
go through them to get the company, you can't buy direct from that actual customer.
What's their timeline? Did either one
They
of them?
said as soon as possible. Since it's undercover, they can do it on a rainy day, anything like that. And I told them within a week or two it had to be completed.
Okay.
How thick of concrete is?
I
That's
think
6.
we're gonna do 5-inch thick. I was negotiating going 6, but
Huh.
I figured.
Wow. Really?
Go right in between. Because it's more or less kind of a temporary, I'm hoping it's temporary, hopefully we can get a new facility up there. I didn't want to spend a fortune on concrete, but I think a 5-inch will hold up. I poured a 5-inch on another salt slab that was done years ago and it's still holding up. The salt's still gonna eat away at it, so regardless, it's never gonna last, but it's better than digging rocks up and putting it in with the salt.
Any input on who you want to go with?
We've had Martin's doing several projects. I mean, we don't usually. There's not much of a price difference, but Butteroff do some pretty big projects with heavy equipment. I wouldn't be opposed with going with Butteroff for the proposed bid to get in there and get it done fairly quickly.
It's so close that I guess I have no preference.
Well, I'd entertain a motion that we go with one of them, whoever wants to entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the bid of 3,300 with Butterhoff Construction.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 3-0. So we'll go with Barter off for an amount of 3,300.
Even.
Even.
Did you second?
Eric did.
Then I got good. The bridge, or the All-System Bridge program that we put in for 2018, we did get accepted for that. I do have some signatures I need for that. This was for the bridge south of Farmington over Stranger Creek. Here's all the information on that, and I just need all three of your signature.
Is there any right-of-way acquisition that needs to be done?
I don't know yet. It's, yeah, very early in this.
So it's an all-system bridge?
What we,
80-20. 80-20.
So is it a grant or is it?
It's,
Basically,
that's what we're doing with the 266 bridge, it's the same concept. The state pays 80% of it, we pay the 20%.
Probably considered a grant.
Yeah, I guess you consider it grant.
Wow. Cheap bridge.
And that was one that was, I believe, on the fracture critical list, so that'll eliminate some high-cost inspections.
How big a bridge is this?
100, it should say on one of the pages, like 100 some foot.
Half a mile south.
Possibly. I don't know if it's a truss bridge. Can't remember off the top of my head which one we picked.
There's a couple down in there.
It's possible it could be a truss bridge.
What road is that off of? I saw half a mile south of Farmington.
It's down there right near Farmington.
Half mile south of Farmington over Stranger Creek.
What is it?
Half mile south.
It didn't say which road it's on though.
There's like two on that same road.
Yeah.
Was the other one, the historical one that they done a while back? Didn't they have a historical bridge down in there that they?
Cummings Bridge that they just replaced.
No, this is one that they had to refurbish. The Historical Society was in on that.
Was that
I think
that truss
it-
bridge that?
The truss bridge is almost all gonna be.
We have one that's on the historical list, that truss bridge.
I think there's 2 or 3 that are on.
Oh, you have 2 or 3 more?
Where's that 140,000 that come out of?
Special bridge.
Special bridge?
And that'll be 2018, so that'll be in the budget for 2018.
But how can you say no if they're gonna spend 600,000 or whatever, it comes out 580,000 or whatever it is.
We got denied last year, 2017 for one year, so
That's kinda like you hit one year and miss and you hit again.
it's like
don't you?
every other year you get accepted.
And they pick the one that they want you to replace?
We decide which
We
one we want
decided.
to do. We send it in and they accept it or decline it. There's only, like 20 or 30 on the list that it's almost guaranteed.
Qualify.
Because they're all fracture criticals.
We ever get the bridge closed out there at Cummings, east of Cummings?
When we rebuilt that road,
Yeah, you got that all
it's
taken
been
care of.
closed since,
Well, I seen that road closed sign there, but I didn't know if he was still.
well, that was prior to flood.
Does it give the bridge number on there?
I was gonna say, did it go over the?
Replace,
It's
yes,
got-
NBI structure number 00003103 7503667.
Okay.
What was the
Signatures on
Oh.
that page.
approximate cost that will be for us? I mean,
20% of 710,000.
135,000 or whatever it
Okay.
was.
142,000.
I handed it back before I finished reading. So
10% would be 71,000. 20% would be 42 or 142.
Yeah, this should be a 20%. They're using a federal off system program.
Too bad it wasn't 90-10 or a
Yeah.
100-0.
yeah, that would be on that one. We all three sign here.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think I'll even sign on the bottom.
Over
on the
here.
other side, and I sign the top on the one side.
I've got a couple little things.
I'll make that motion.
There is
Bring your motion,
it's a tubes. I think it's 2 tubes out at 286th and Dickinson Road. And it's been a
No
problem
deal.
for a while. I know the
Need a
county's
motion
put
just to
on
approve it.
gravel in there, and every time we get a big rain, it washes it down. And it looks to me like it's silted full on the lower side of the bridge. It needs dug out, and it really looks like it needs bigger tubes in there. I think there's 2 tubes.
I think Mark and Joe actually told me about those.
It's
I
getting
think we're gonna
narrower.
do a drainage
Survey.
survey on it.
Okay, because there's a lot of water comes through there, and it's a problem after every major rain.
We got to back up. I'd entertain a motion that we sign off on that 80/20 cost share on that replacement of the bridge south of Farmington.
Yeah, let's see here.
Number,
There's no number. It was 0.5 miles.
Yeah, off system bridge
0.5 miles
program.
south of Farmington.
Yeah, MDI structure 000-03103 750-3667. That's the bridge number.
Right.
Also move.
it's been moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 3-0.
Keep it with that.
What?
Yeah, just keep rolling with it.
And that's for 2018.
Correct. So the planning will all go through 17, and I'm unsure when daylight will all take place. That all depends.
Okay, you need to get a 2018 calendar and book that in, because I got a feeling you booked too much that you're gonna get done this year, and I was a little fearful that you had an awful lot on your plate this year.
Yeah. Well, the only reason we pushed asphalt season out was we kept finding failing roads. We wanted to try to get those patched so they wouldn't continue to fail. We knew harvest was coming, so that's why. And the rain actually held us quite a bit back also. And we really didn't even plan on doing full overlays, but when we got out some of these roads, it's what it needed. But there's no cutting corners or moving back. Not next year.
So how'd all the new equipment work out, and where are we at on the roller? You know, we rented a roller.
We're debating right now. Feel we should probably upgrade to one size bigger. We find what we got, we'll talk maybe, and I'm gonna go talk to Dean, see if there's any chance maybe we ought to rent the bigger one next year, and then decide.
I thought the one we had was too big. You're talking about the one we rented, you
The
want
one
to
we
check?
rented, yeah. Tony Bill, he's making 3 or 4 passes per stretch. If we got one bigger, he'd make less passes. But I need to talk with Dean first, see how that would work out. But if it doesn't work out for that bigger machine, the smaller one will be fine. It's worked, everything is great.
And the current one we have was too big?
It was too big for patchwork. It's good for when we're building roads and items like that, but when we're doing 2-inch overlays, it's almost crushing and making slides and everything like that. So this smaller machine does a better job of doing patchwork. Other than that, we finished asphalt last night. We did that Logan Road with the city. Didn't turn out as well as we wanted. The city's probably gonna have to go back and do some more base work. Their base didn't really hold up on the areas they tore out, but they're aware of that. We've talked with them. So that road is completed all the way to 73 down to Logan to a certain stopping point that we decided on. So that all turned out. Other than that, we're going to try to do a little bit more asphalt after chip seal season. We actually started chip sealing this morning after we got a few bugs worked out of the chip spreader. We got one lane done all the way to 116 almost. It works out great. Everything's good. Everything's calibrated. It's actually a very nice machine. It was kind of fun riding on it today.
We got the rock getting washed better now, and
I don't know yet. We'll see as it dries. When I was leaving there to come here, I saw a dry portion which a truck was driving over. It looked pretty dusty to me. But I'm going to try something new this year. Tomorrow when we go out, I'm going to have them broom that new stretch, get all the loose rock, try to get some of the extra dust after it's all set up. See if that will help eliminate some of that dust problem. I think you're always going to have a little bit of dust unless we go with all haydite, which I would recommend, but the price of that is...
I recommend that too.
I mean, it's a little bit more per ton, which they don't go by the ton, they go by cubic yard. Haydite, but it'd be something I'd look into recommending so we don't have to deal with this dust problem, especially around houses. I mean, I know when we did 230th, there was nothing but complaints on that from all the residents on that. Same with
Pratt.
234th, and I mean everything. We had the same issue with
286. Yeah.
before my time.
well, let me ask you this. I'm sure that you're putting down the recommended rock for the roads. Now, if you're going to broom some of it off because of the dust, you're not going to have enough rock on this.
The way this stuff works is you get the oil down, you get the rock, you roll it. There's always going to be some extra rock that gets spilt out or whatever, so some of it doesn't get in contact with the oil. That's the rock that you see some of the dust come out of, and it gets rocked around. And they recommend to get that rock off the road, because if it gets dug down into that oil, it'll pop other rocks up. So everything that's on there and rolled in today is all that's going to stick to that oil, because you only have so many seconds, if not maybe a minute or two, to get that rock rolled.
So is there any recovery to that rock, or it's gone?
It wouldn't be any good. Everything you try to recover would just be full of dust and dirt. I mean, we can do it, but we'd have to buy a new broom that had the auger on it. And it's better off just letting it go into the ditch. I mean, it's not that much. This machine here, you can shut off the hoppers, and it does the actual calibrations, and everything is set up where it shouldn't have much extra rock. I mean, there's times where you're over the edge just a little bit and that rock goes off, but and there's times it'll dump out of the back of the truck and come out of the back of the hopper. So you have those little things, but it wouldn't amount up to much. It wouldn't be worth buying a new piece of equipment. So, yeah, other than that's good. All the N.R. guys were up. The Van Temple guys were up this morning to help us get started. They were actually with us all day. They're probably still out there, make sure everything went over well. So,
Where did they start at?
Edwards, just where we ended last year, and they went south.
Okay.
How do we supply the oil? Just put a tanker truck and pull off it?
Vance Brothers brings up the tanker. We have it for 4 hours, and they just sit there with us, and we can empty a tanker. We just started at like 10:30, and we were done, or emptied the last tanker when I left to come in here at 1. So, and we usually do 2 or 3 tankers a day. We can get 2 in easily. If we did a third, we might be pushing time. So,
In 4 hours, no charge.
yeah, 4 hours is no charge. Anything after that.
That's all right now, but eventually down the road, we want to get some kind of on-ground storage.
For that oil, no.
Really.
For the tack oil that we do with asphalt, yes. But for the chip seal oil, it's easier just to have them bring it up. We pump that stuff off quicker, and there's no charge for them just bring it up. So just the tack oil with asphalt, so we can just load whenever we want to go do a patch of asphalt. So that's kind of our issue this year. We can't just, after chip seal, we have to find a way of getting down there to get it picked up. So I got to have some other tanker endorsement and stuff like that. So, and my current oil distributor operator is working to get his tanker and hazmat and all that, so he can go down there and get the oil for us.
I have one other brief thing. When we were talking about the Smith Bridge and we closed that bridge for them, we had kind of talked about helping them out where they were going to get their crops out. That bridge to the north of there, we were going to maybe kind of possibly clean a ditch out, maybe put a tube in. I don't know if it's anybody been in contact with you for their harvest.
Since that time.
Okay.
I want to say I reached out to the township, just checked with them, and I don't know if I had anybody contact me back. I want to say I left a voicemail with somebody a long time ago.
That's Grasshopper? What township is that?
It's Capiona.
In Capioma?
Is it Joe Tolliver? Russ?
What, I don't know, I got thinking about that too, I'm going, is that bridge that they have to cross, because it's right along that road?
I'm ready for their equipment.
If it's not rated, or is that setting us up that we're,
It's not rated because it's smaller than 20 foot. So, yeah, it's still our liability if they were to fall through that.
I think it's in great shape. I mean, I think it's been replaced. I mean, I got thinking about that later, if that's what we could do.
We could also look into putting a tube right there where that bridge is at, depending on, what's that same ditch line, though, that's still a pretty big tube.
That would be a big tube. Well, I mean, it's
It
just
might
something.
be another option.
Okay.
I'd see, I don't know what their plan is, but regardless, they're gonna pass that bridge, and they probably have for years now.
I know they've been coming in and out of there, but I just got thinking if we would make that spot and then it would go through, it'd be like, they'd say, well, we were encouraged or told by the county to use it, so. Just want to kind of, when we go by there, think of it and maybe find other options or.
And we're gonna deal with that a lot, because I mean, there's a lot of bridges that farmers have to cross to get into their fields, and they're not ready for that equipment, but they have no other way in.
Right.
So we're gonna run into that for more years than I'm probably alive, so.
Well, and this is, I mean, that would be actually a township road but that's our bridge. But where we actually close the other bridge, I kind of feel we kind of owe it a little bit of something there so they can get the crops out, because we closed that Smith Bridge.
I'll look into it some more.
I haven't been by there lately, so
I haven't heard anything out of Mr. Smith. So,
I haven't either.
I'll go look into
Didn't we
it.
kind of agree of making a ditch and putting in like a 12 or 18-inch tube there?
Some tube.
Field, you know,
Field
25
entrance.
foot wide or two.
I need to know exactly where they're gonna want this thing to make everybody happy, along with township, other landowners, everything like that, so. I'll, look into that and I'll try to contact the township again.
Okay.
And the only other thing I had today was to talk about those two dump trucks that came up last week about. Didn't know if we wanted to make a motion on those today.
Well, we're gonna have to do a
Commissioner
lease
Sheehan was gone last week.
We're gonna have to do a lease purchase on them, so we're gonna have to get some kind of,
Yeah, we haven't sent anything out for the lease purchase, so we probably need to, get that going. I don't know what their timeline allows, but we need to probably definitely get the lease purchase mechanism in place. Even though the payments would, nothing would start in 2017, we still need to have that lease purchase in place. So I think we got a template, I believe. We could probably, I'm not sure where Pat is, but we could probably have Pat instruct Counselor to
did you
issue
find
lease
out
purchase bids.
trade-in value on our trucks? They wasn't interested?
Still waiting on those. I sent him an email last week. He hadn't got back. I got him sent late last week, so I'll call him like that and check with him. We're debating on, like I said, mechanics were talking about the Sterlings. And we think if maybe we can keep them, but keep them as backup units, so they're not driven every day as newer trucks, but we can keep them there in case we have a snow truck go down, they're there. Or say we have two other trucks go down, they can be there for backup for the time being until we're up and going better with all new trucks or something. I mean, that would give us 4 pretty well maintained trucks. That'd be good. But something scary when we say we have a recall on one of them, and it's down there for 2 or 3 days, we have a recall notice on one of them, or both of them, since they're gonna be the same truck.
I would probably be against that. The simple reason is, okay, we need to use a truck and it goes out and the motor blows up. Then there we gotta fix up the motor, or I would say trade them in and sell them and get what we can get and get by with what you can get, and we'll add one in who knows if I'll be here a year or 2 from now, we'll add another truck or 2. That's my thinking.
I kind of thought we always talked about keeping one and definitely selling the other.
No, he was gonna keep a different one, wasn't he?
Well, I was gonna trade truck number 8, which is an old white truck we barely ever use,
And
plus one Sterling. But I didn't, if they don't bring much, I mean, I know the white truck's gotta go, there's no question about that. But the other one, if it wasn't gonna bring much, I didn't know if it'd be more feasible to just keep it as a backup truck and maybe even a parts truck.
Center.
That other Sterling, or,
Seems like an old orange one too.
no, that went before I started.
Oh, okay.
Also on Purple Waves.
So you're saying not get rid of the Sterlings and get rid of like two old? Is that what?
Well,
No, just get rid of one
keep
old,
those
even older
Sterlings,
truck.
And
Oh,
use them
okay.
both for backups. Because
Okay.
they're the only,
And that would give you how many in the fleet then if you did that?
7.
maybe just 7. And they include the 2 white rock trucks.
And so the oldest ones would, the oldest truck or the
The
most.
oldest trucks would still stay, because those trucks aren't, they don't cost us anything. They really don't ever break down. They don't ever get driven though until winter time. Yeah. And they're good for riprap and brush and all that, so they take a beating, but they're still good running trucks.
Okay.
Actually, that's kind of what we're using right now while we're down 2 trucks. So.
Hmm.
But they're not good out of town trucks. They're made.
Well, that's
around
it.
here.
Yeah. Usually you rotate out your oldest and worst stock, but I know what you're saying. We've had issues with the Sterlings.
I'm Sterlings, I just hate to keep, I mean, it's like just the radiators. I can't understand why anything would shell a radiator out in 9 months.
Yeah. Would you get more value out of those? The Sterlings?
Sterlings, yeah. They're a newer truck and they're a good truck. It's just radiators have issues.
I guess if I knew that they really weren't gonna bring anything in, it really wouldn't cost much to keep them, but, at the same time, I'd hate to get more and more equipment just sitting around just for spares. I don't know. I'm kinda on the fence on this one.
I understand. I'm kind of in the middle too. I'd love to get rid of them, so it would cost us money. But then again, I am thinking, yeah, if we have 2 trucks go down in the winter, we're down 2 trucks, we have no backup trucks. So,
Yeah, but Seth, if you trade 2 off, you're still going to have 5. 3 of the 5 are practically brand new.
correct.
Right.
That's the other defense on that is, you have 3 new trucks that are out there for good. I mean, you'll at least have 3 trucks pushing some. But we already have 5, and that's already, usually every winter we have at least 1 go down for a storm. And then, if we're fine, we can move around and get other people to help.
So
I guess I would probably say you'd probably keep one of them, one of the Sterlings, and get rid of the other one. But is there one that's better than the other one? Or?
that's what I was going to ask.
They're about the same. So, I mean, the plan is we're going to have to keep one
Mm-hmm.
through this process.
He was going to trade a white one and a Sterling off,
Right.
or trade none of them off. And
Or just get rid of the old white
Just
one.
getting rid of the old one. Which I don't think that thing will bring anything to trade it. It's probably better also on Purple Wave, but until I see what his price is, and I get a good price on it.
Call my neighbor, he'll buy it.
So, I mean,
Yes.
last week he told me he kind of needed an answer here soon whether we're going to go with it or not, so he can hold the trucks for us. Like,
Well, can we commit to the trucks, but we haven't got any financials in order, and that's kind of getting the cart before the horse.
Well, I think we need to issue, I think you have a template to issue bids on lease purchases. We can't do anything on any equipment replacement because those were budgeted with lease purchase for 2017. I think you still have a template, or I know you've sent something out in the past.
You did say they come in $6,000 to $8,000 total cheaper than what we budgeted, something like that.
we budgeted 175 and it came out
58.
You want the total that we budgeted for? Or just,
How much money do you need and when you need it? What's the collateral going to be?
He said 158. Even?
No, 158.
I'll tell you what the,
So 159,000
I'll tell you what the total.
Times 2.
times 2. 159,000 times 2.
Okay.
318,000.
I think you've already dealt with these people, but I saw them at the farm
show
show. I was
you what
talking
it
with
was.
them, and I grabbed their books. And I just picked that up. I thought,
How
I'm
many
not gonna
years?
use it, so.
How many years? 4 years?
4 or 5.
I need to call that,
4 or 5 years on the lease purchase. Oh, well, you're the ones that are gonna pay it off, 4 or 5 years.
What did we do on the last, like, 5 years?
5 years, but that was with the grader, so.
I was thinking 5.
Yeah, but now you're doing 2 trucks, so you're just about the same price.
Say if it's cheap as
Give me a second,
interest
I'll find
is, I would
out
probably go with 5. Stretch it out.
And the collateral's going to be.
Seth Howard.
His smile.
Worth that much.
2 trucks?
Throw in Roger Denton. Back up.
Try the assets
Ow.
ourselves, maybe.
Will they take the trucks as collateral?
Yeah, usually.
Can't we just do the 2 trucks?
Yep, but I don't know what they are. I wasn't here for the discussion.
Oh,
2 trucks.
I mean,
There you go.
I guess if you can't make the payments, they can have the trucks.
Well, we keep lease purchase,
Lease purchase,
then
the
we should have
lending
something come
institution
off
owns the
every
assets.
year for the next 5 or 6
Lease
years
pay.
in a row, shouldn't
You mean on the?
we? Lease purchase. Ambulance probably be the next thing, and
I don't,
Would that be in?
all of our, oh, right there.
I just don't wanna get too deep a hole in the
Find your
well.
way through that better than I can.
I think we talked during the
Here's what we
budget
have
season over
budgeted.
that, because I was in kind of.
This is what we have
concerned that
budgeted
we would
for,
keep
this is the lease
on,
purchase.
And then the same, instead of just paying outright for, I think this
450,000
year
total
we're
lease
still fine,
purchase.
but I think it was like
Yeah, I would-
2 years we kept on doing.
Well, 318 is just for the trucks.
Okay, so 318.
5 years, 2018,
Yeah,
the
for
ambulances.
trucks. I mean, I didn't know if you need to do one lease purchase and then we do.
2000,
I don't think it
5
makes
years.
sense to borrow the money until you're ready to use
2020, the dump.
Yeah.
grader.
Well, I mean,
it. Paying interest on it.
Correct.
Well, the paper
we were wanting to purchase. the
and
truck
the oil
before this
distributor,
one.
all 3 of those.
Basically,
all
have
of
this
them.
year's.
Well,
the first payment.
Then in
Looks like I spent
2020.
We
a lot of money
budgeted
since
450,000
because
for lease
I think I
purchase
was-
for 2017,
I
so
wasn't
we're
here
gonna
for
get
this
the
one.
other equipment at the same
I just
time,
happened right
or
before I got
we.
here, so.
Well, the mowing tractor,
I did
that,
1, 2, 3,
I'm
4.
actually working on that now, because we have to have it submitted by November, December, in order to have the tractor here by spring.
My
So
only
it'll
thing,
be separate times.
the only thing that I'll say is that if you break it up into smaller amounts, generally your interest rates will be higher if you're doing smaller lease purchase amounts. That's just the way lenders work. So that's, I'm just asking if we do it at
Your
once.
decision on how to do it.
Didn't we do it though? They didn't give us all the money at the same time on the dump truck and the grader, did they?
I'm pretty sure they issued it.
You're correct, they didn't, but they didn't have to do that.
No, and that interest rate was 2.4.
So
Maybe
do you want me to do 450 or do you want me to do 318?
What would you do the 450 for? What else are you throwing in there?
Well, he was looking
Mower,
at
tractor?
tractor and mower. I'm not sure if there's anything else in there or not, but that's what's budgeted.
The 3 items, 2 trucks and 1 tractor.
I guess I don't have a preference. Whatever, I mean,
I mean, if you're gonna replace them all anyways, I mean, if you're having to replace all that equipment.
And you're gonna do the truck out of your, you're gonna have leftover, or that, put it, the service truck?
We still have, I think we budgeted, I mean, if there's anything, no, I won't be there. Remember we put in the capital outlay from the budget and what's gonna pay for that? Church. So that wasn't a lease purchase. That was, you guys.
I thought you told us you had enough, you thought you'd have enough money at the end of this year that you could purchase that truck and have the money to pay for it, no?
And that was what was budgeted for next year. And we sold some stuff on Purple Wave that'll go in the machine fund, so.
How much we got in that Ford tractor now? 12, 15,000 bucks?
I don't know what we have in it, but it needs to go back in for $7,000 worth of work, and we're not, that's why we're not using it anymore, because we have to send it back in and be 2 or 3 months before we got it back. So it's just kinda gonna be sitting out there and get sold as is.
Well, I got a bad knee, so I'm not a fast stepper, so I'll leave this decision up to you two. You wanna throw on another 80,000? What'd you throw on there?
Well, it's-
70,000?
We had budgeted 450,000 for the lease purchases in 2017.
So it's,
That's everybody, or is that just road and bridge?
I think it's primarily like road and bridge. I don't know of any lease purchases with any other.
I don't think there's anything else listed.
Reboxing or?
No, I don't think that was included on that, as far as I know. So you're figuring 418 tractor. 100 was that tractor and mower?
Yes, it was just, I think I only budgeted like just at 100. The prices I've seen so far are just over 100,000. Not much. I don't have one in here. Like 102,000. The mower itself is like a $40,000 piece of equipment. And the tractor is like 93, but then it goes in discount. And that was just one so far.
What
I'm still
brand?
on John Deere to get back.
John Deere?
That was New Holland. These are they're a special tractor. All there's accessories that have to be put on through the dealer first before. So it's not just some tractor you go out and buy. They have to do a bunch of add-ons. So it's kind of a specialty thing. So it's kind of hard to bid that way. You just kind of have to send it to this guy and say, this is what you have to do for this type of tractor, and this is what you have to do for this type. So
Well, wouldn't it be better business to have an actual bid than just guesstimations before we throw this all in?
Correct.
I was even on that tractor and mower.
But he's wanting to know about the trucks right away for
Yeah.
his lease purchase, so how soon could you get that tractor bid and have something?
Well, I'll have John Deere's buying the lead. This is just New Holland that they sent over when we were trying to look for prices for budgeting. So I can double check, make sure that's updated. Those are the only two the mower vendor recommended for their mower.
But we haven't even looked at any other kind of mower. I mean,
This is what everybody has recommended. It's the top of the line type mower for this type. They said there's some off brands that they don't recommend.
Is this strictly for grass, or can it go up and do brush?
Everything. Brush up to 4 inches, roadsides. It's got a setting where it does just the roadsides. Has to do with that blue tractor with the drop mower. It's just got a setting where it sits there and you adjust as you would anything else. Or it's got where you can swing it up and get the roadside brush.
So what'd you say, 450 total?
That was what the lease purchase estimate
That
was.
should cover all 3 pieces.
10,000.
So we probably need to get
You're looking at about
Those bids.
$56,000 payment with interest.
And then,
For 5 years.
For these bids, I mean, they're not going to be sealed bids. I mean, unless I need to get them sealed, they were just
No, that's not
shipping me
right.
their quotes.
That's not right. It'd be more than that. That'd only be 280, 90,000. I didn't know, I missed it.
I need to send back and get sealed bids on them.
be over $10,000. I believe that's what our
I'll make sure, I'll call them up and make sure they're sealed.
yeah.
When are we gonna see
The only one would be
daylight?
state contract or any of the tractors or stuff like that. Is that any of that like under state contract?
I don't think it's tractor.
The trucks are state contract.
Trucks are sealed.
Those are okay.
450 divided by 5.
I believe that's correct, Pat.
Interest.
On state contract, on
500,
purchase bids, I
100,000,
believe.
100,000 you're paying.
Anything on state contract does not require a bid.
Have you been using that?
Is that what they're buying?
They did.
The trucks are using state contract purchasing. I believe that's the process. That's okay on the trucks, since if they're state contract, but the tractors and the mowers, that state contract purchase?
We could have, but with all the extra accessories that have to go on them from the vendor, or from New Holland or John Deere, they couldn't give us the state contract because they have to do the added weights and
Does New Holland or John Deere have a
So you can't get a
lease
base.
purchase program?
what.
Do they have like a lease purchase program through John Deere?
They do, but with a specialty mower like that, it wouldn't be feasible. If we were just buying directly a tractor, they could do it, and it's that's what the state does, is they lease a tractor for like $9 an hour to put on it. But they just pull a battling mower behind, so there's no accessories added. When you start adding that side mount motor, it's when you run into the higher values. And they said it wouldn't be even worth leasing for that.
So the trucks were 158, 159, say, 160, that's 320. And you're wanting to up it to 450? 130,000?
Well, that's what we have budgeted. I'm just saying that's our lease purchase budget. What we based on equipment to purchase. That's what we budgeted for.
I guess I'm starting to get to it. We're trying to anticipate what we're going to do on the mower, and we don't know for sure. Is that a smart move to apply for the money before you really know what?
Yeah, I would like to see a price.
I mean, I have the general price. I mean, it's gonna be not much more than what I had, like 102. But I understand what you're saying.
Well, I don't want to borrow any more money than what we need.
Yeah, I understand.
Correct.
What potential? How much difference would it be in the rate, your interest rate, just between if we done it in two different options?
I don't know.
I'd say
Depends
it'd
on
be
the lender.
pretty minimal.
I would say
think.
minimal too.
I just know that when we bid out in the past with lease purchases, some of the banks relayed to us that, you know, if you're doing small little lease purchases, typically your interest rates are higher. I'm not saying that's not the case, but I would probably follow that logic.
Okay. Basically, I was telling him to hold off on the truck still and hopefully he doesn't get rid of them then, or
Keeping earnest money down.
I
Well-
think if we made an approval saying we're gonna go with them, that's all he needs is the approval that they're gonna come to us. It's just we haven't got the financials. I mean, I know it's kind of a step ahead of what we need to be, but at least he can hold them and not ship them off. Because if he ships them off, we'll be looking at a new price for the next set. So he's moving on to 2007.
I would commit to the dump trucks.
Yeah, I would commit to them too, because we have a much bigger problem. If we lose these trucks and have to go with the new pricing, we're gonna lose more than we would on the interest rate if we have to go with two.
And I'm sure we can have bids in within the next 2 weeks, but I think we're safe to commit to the trucks.
I can have
It's
this
kind of
truck
getting the
in
cart
next
before the
week.
horse, but
Sure. We still need to get that lease purchase bid out though
Right.
to the banks.
Yeah.
So you need to get bids posted.
I'll have, I guess I need to post them with what Rick wants, or Rich wants. Okay.
now are we talking strictly trucks, or are we talking trucks and a mower tractor? He has to know that.
I think he's going to get bids on the tractor and mower.
Oh, okay.
And so then,
Do I have permission to tell them we'll take those trucks, or do I need to just tell them we gotta still hang tight and we'll see, or?
if that,
Don't wanna keep holding them on weeks when you can get rid of these trucks. I mean, he's got one basically sold if we don't take it, so.
I would commit to them.
Okay. I'll let him know then that we will work with, we'll get with them next week after the year, whenever we get these lease purchases dealt with. Okay, and I'll have bids next week, or I'll get the bids out and then put them out, and I'll be back in 2 weeks on those. I think that's enough time for
That
me.
means you probably better get on
Actually, I
that
could probably send them
today and get them out.
I could actually have them by next week, going, there's only the two, there's only New Holland and John Deere that can really bid for this mower.
Interesting.
Through the mower
Pardon me.
vendor, that's what he stated, is these are the only two that really come compatible with what we need. Yeah, I'm sure other tractors can make it, but he said he's never dealt with them, so it'd probably be more cost-wise.
And the old tractor is gonna go, whichever.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
board is going down the road, it's sitting out there. Okay, anything else? All right, thank you.
I'm gonna need.
Thanks, Ed.
Here, can you hang
Yeah,
around long
I'll-
enough?
Step around.
All right. Thank you. Hand you out some stuff here. I got 4 or 5 copies.
Thank you.
Put one over for Eric also, if we can.
Thank you.
Oh, shit, just one. If you already have the other. If you want, I'll just wait until Eric gets back here to start in on this. Well, I'll tell you so that you know what you're looking at. This is the recycling site we talked about. At one time you had somebody interested in buying the recycling area, and we talked about splitting the part on the other side of the creek off. And so what this is a plan that shows you where that sewer line is, and the sewer line shows up on the survey, and the survey creates the 2 new legals.
Is that the green line, the sewer line?
Yeah. And those green dots are the manholes. Okay. What this is, some time ago, we were working on a redesign at the recycling center. At that time, I suggested, you had someone who might be interested in buying the recycling center, and I suggested splitting the part on the other side of the creek off, because there's a parcel that Turner's own in between, and then you own the next parcel to the east of it. And I just said it would make it much more advantageous. There's no reason to get rid of that piece on the other side of the creek with the recycling building. It really doesn't increase the value of that property much, and it'd be pretty easy to divide. It seems that if you look at the survey, there's already an easement recorded on that sewer line. And so it makes a very simple division of the property. In dealing with the city, it's industrial use zoning within the city, and so it doesn't require subdivision. They've already looked at it and have no problem with the division. So there's no extra time or effort to put into that. My question to you is, do you want to go ahead and split this into 2 tracks? Not necessarily that you need to right now. The way it is right now, it's tax exempt property because it's been county use, I think, and you don't have it in any fruitful use right now that's producing income. The potential is that if you do divide it, I think Botteroff's had a little storage yard over there, but the deed shows that that's expired from its term of use. So it could go away. I don't think they're paying anything for it anymore.
Oh, here on the east side?
Yeah, on that eastern portion of property. You see that little retention. It's just an impound lot where they were storing stuff. And there was, in the original deed, when the property was purchased, there was an agreement that remained in effect for so many years. But those years since passed. So what I wanted to do is bring this to you so that you know it's there. I'm in no hurry to say let's divide it, but you know that it's available, so all you need to do is make a vote on the record, and we could split this into 2 tracks and create 2 separate parcels out of it at that point. It's a pretty simple thing to do. Any questions?
Is there any reason why you just wouldn't go ahead and do it? I mean,
the only possible reason that you wouldn't go ahead and do it is that the piece on the east on its own might seem to be a piece that's not being used strictly for county purposes. Which,
like your vacant lot over there. the
Yeah.
exact same one.
so you have to start paying taxes on it, correct?
oh, on our, oh, this one over here? Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm
There's
just
some
suggesting,
requirement.
if there is a drawback, that's it. You don't want to put yourself in a position of having to start paying taxes on that other parcel. being honest with you up front.
Okay.
Aren't there cars parked there?
There are
And whose cars are those?
butter off.
I always thought that was Jim Kale's, those are Butteroffs. huh?
No, that's, now, according to the deed, I quite frankly haven't found exactly who has them, but according to the deed, when the property was purchased, Butteroff was using that as an impound lot and was able to continue using it as his vehicle impound lot. Jiffy Lube impounded vehicles, they have a tow service, and they were towing on calls from police and other places and impounding in that location. Okay? And then they charge for that storage.
I wouldn't see for no reason dividing it unless we ever sell that recycling building. Leave it as is.
Okay.
I would like to get the Turner Trust ground bought.
Just to tie it together?
So what's, is it just a building on the Turner Trust?
Yeah.
But that's just-
Roger, is just a little building on the Turner Trust? Is that what-
Yes.
Does somebody,
Is that Quonset hut?
It is. It's just a little storage. I think Turner at one time ran a little commercial garage out of there where he did some auto repairs or mechanical work.
How many acres was in with that? 3 or 4 acres?
Is that 1.04?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where do you
excuse
see
me.
that at?
It's
right there.
It's on the photo,
Oh, I see it there.
and it says Turner Trust on there too.
Well, that wouldn't really be big enough to have it, but the new road and bridge back there.
Okay. So that green line, that demarcation line was actually, that is the sewer line?
The green line is actually the sewer line. That sewer line coincides with that division line on your survey. The dots you see on there, and Pat asked me that earlier, those dots that you see, those are manholes. And so, now, there is a manhole to the north. You see where this divides the property, then there's a manhole on the north. From there to the west, that line is a pressure sewer line that runs all the way to northwest, well, ran all the way to Golden Star, to Shannon Industrial Park.
Okay.
And so it's pressurized because it goes up and downhill all the way out there. And so to get into that, that's one of the things when we looked at relocating. It would have been easy to go to the north, but if you went to the north, you had to have a pump system to get into that line rather than just gravity flowing into it.
Yeah, I don't see no reason to split it up.
Okay. I wanted to make
That's
you
my
aware of it.
opinion.
I'm fine.
We've done this work, it makes it handy for you to have for the future. And if somebody ever got ready to buy, I think you're better off saying, treating them as separate parcels at that time. Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right?
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
take it back with me?
Any old or unfinished business before the board?
We have another executive session.
Well, I was gonna ask county councilor update, if he'd asked for one.
I do have an update that's not necessary for attorney-client executive session. Roger Edgar called, I stepped out, and he was on the phone, he called to talk to me. He, of course, is with George K. Baum and Company. He had talked with Capital One, who was the purchaser of the bonds on the sports complexes. And really, there were two items that he had some question about. One is Exchange Bank, who is the trustee for the bonds, has asked or suggested that if the bond work is redone, if the bonds are reissued, that they would like to see the 1 year reserve that they are currently holding already mandated. That is, instead of just being their policy to be required. I think I'd like to talk, before you would take action on that, I think it's probably a good idea to talk with Exchange. I would hate to see them make any change in what they're doing, because if they're mandated to, if they're not required to have anything and they keep a year, if they're mandated to keep a year, does that mean they keep 2 years? Just so that on the day before they make their payment, that they have 2 years there so that they are covered. Anyway, that was one of the changes, and they'd like some feedback from you. And as I said, I think we probably ought to talk with Exchange. It seems to me that it's working fine now, and we're happy with what they're doing. I don't see a reason to change it. But, the second was, the original bond issue allowed for you to put aside money for maintenance of the facilities, and it allowed for you to put 10 years worth of projected maintenance was set aside.
Correct.
I think the documents allowed for you to put aside a lot more than that, but 10 years worth is what was agreed upon and set aside. Capital One is agreeable if they are to be reissued, to revisiting that question, so that if you want to put additional maintenance funds aside from the revenue stream, you could do that.
See, I asked Roger that, and I thought the answer he'd give us, in the savings, we asked if we could take some of that savings and put it into maintenance, and he said no, that would have to go towards payment. Now, am I wrong on that, or?
That's what he told us.
That's
That was his
correct.
understanding.
But
that wasn't true, is what you're saying now?
No. The original documents, that was the case. When they were reissued, they took that out because the commission at that time wasn't putting anything more aside, and didn't have any desire to put anything more aside. And I think there might have been a difference of opinion on the commission as to whether or not there should be more future money set aside. I'm not saying there was, I just don't, that's my recollection, is that there was some question about whether or not any of that was needed. So currently it's not allowed, but if they're going to reissue the bonds to lower the interest rate, the purchaser, Capital One, is agreeable to putting that language back in to allow maintenance.
Well, that might solve the problem, because I think the rec board or the sports
ASAF.
board or whatever wanted $80,000 a year, and
It's definitely not, it's not maintaining, it's not enough to maintain it. They just didn't, I don't know if there was just a miss on projections on how much it would take to maintain a facilities like that, but they're definitely off.
Well, I was thinking more of beyond the scope of where it was when it was supposed to end in, 2017? Not necessarily give them more money, but just maintain the money that they're getting. That would be
I thought they asked
2027 was, I think it was a
Yeah.
20-year bond.
but
But the maintenance ends just in
Yeah, I think it's funded
2017
through
or
like
18.
2018 at some point.
It's like, I think it's halfway through the year on one.
Correct.
And so
It's drastically
that's
short of.
I mean, to me, it's more than just raising how much they're getting. I mean, to have anything to put towards the maintenance, even at the current level, I mean, would be a major step.
I believe they wanted, or they said they needed 80,000 a year, and I don't know what they allowed now, 45, wasn't it, something like that?
I think we're
Yeah.
paying 40 currently, and that was
They was wanting
split
double
between, was it 30 going to ASAF and 10 to Effingham?
I believe so.
It's
So
50
they
45
get
and
40,000 a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ASAF.
and then 10,000 to,
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
10,000 to USD 377.
yeah,
Was that total, or is that per year?
Per year.
Every quarter we pay out $12,500.
So,
Change.
Amy's wanting to go to 80, so we're paying 52 now?
He must have consulted
Well, you're paying
some bond
40
counsel,
to
because that was
the
one of my
one in
questions to
here in
him, if,
Yeah, but I think it was combined when they said 80,000
you know, consult
maintenance.
bond
for both of
counsel
them.
on some of that, so it sounds like there's.
Well,
Were
we don't,
talking about Effingham?
they wouldn't be talking about Effingham because Effingham's separate.
Okay.
Money, so,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think. I
Because
don't
we
think
both chimed in and says we will not put it on taxpayers.
on property tax.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm still that way, but if we can,
Yeah, I think the
Work with
sales
the-
tax supports it. I mean, I think it's proven that the sales tax supports the whole thing. I mean, it's,
well, but when that shuts down, I mean, how do, when that funding ends for that? you
which
know, how-
part? The whole thing?
Well,
The whole
for what
bonds.
we're the maintenance that we're now giving. I mean, that's gonna shut down here in 17 or 18, and how do we finance the maintenance at the
Well, that-
current level, which out?
What was that projected savings? That was pretty good projected savings that man told us.
Quarter-
A year.
I think it's $250,000.
Quite a bit.
If that would do nothing but pay for that maintenance would be fantastic.
Yeah.
You know,
I-
it would,
And with that, I would really suggest, and there was a good discussion at the last chamber board meeting. They're in their agreement with the city of Atchison. They had to, increase like usage at sports complexes and increase basically, like tournaments or try and enhance like tourism. That was a part of it. There was a good discussion with that, and it's kind of hard because there's so many different entities. It would be good to sit down everybody that's involved with it. So I mean, you got Atchison County, we got ASAF, we got the Rec Commission, we got City of Atchison, we've got I think I'm missing 409, YMCA. We've got a lot of players that if we would sit down and probably, I think there's some probably good long-term solutions if all of us would sit together and put our forces together. I think we could probably do something really good long-term. I think we got a lot of pieces moving that are kind of not necessarily going in the same direction, not necessarily opposite, but just kind of operating independently.
you had mentioned, I think, a month ago or so that they were wanting to come back up and talk to us about, I thought it was ASAF.
I have not, I don't believe so. Not that I've known, I mean, not that I've been notified.
I was thinking you said that they were, that
They came up earlier this year with a presentation
it
to
was
us.
about a year ago, almost, I believe.
No, it hadn't been that long ago. I'm going to say 6 months ago.
It was
No, it's been long.
Don Ball, Derek Franklin, and Scott Erickson. That was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He would have been extremely early, January, February at the
I
most.
think it was the first
Hmm?
payout. It was the first payout. First
And when
I'm
was
gonna
that
say
first
April,
payment?
May.
I was thinking like, yeah, April, May.
March,
Yeah, I was thinking like
March
April,
or
May when they
April.
came
Yeah,
up.
it was March or April.
Yeah,
I think we kind of held it and asked them to.
that's the last time I remember seeing them.
Yeah, that's about right.
Because they're
March,
supposed to come
April.
up and give you a
Financial report.
financial report. I don't know
Okay.
if it's yearly or
I think originally it said quarterly, and that was the first one we'd ever gotten. So they got, and they said, well, the ball got dropped. They didn't realize it was in the wording, but
We could request that them come up. I mean, we could schedule them sometime. Does that make sense? Like all the different entities that are.
I'm really interested in how much this would generate towards the maintenance of these and make sure that we could kind of do that, and maybe even have them come up when we're talking about it so they understand what's going on too. ASAF.
Well, they'd have to. I mean, they're all part of it. You
Yeah.
got ASAF board, then you've got
But ultimately,
RAC right there. There's two entities.
ultimately it'll be with us because that's, well, even they said that when the funding ended that was scheduled, I mean, it was going to be put on us to find funding for the maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's our facilities.
yeah. So I'm interested into where that, how much that would generate and for the maintenance.
That makes good sense to get us all on board so that we're all pulling in the same direction instead of having all different ideas and nothing getting
Absolutely.
done. If we could all get together, we'll get a lot more accomplished.
100% agree. I think it would do the community a huge world of.
Yeah,
We've got a lot of things going on. We got a new YMCA facility coming online in 17. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we could do. I mean, there's a lot of counties. I'll pick on Platte County in Missouri. They run a very good operation where they don't have multiple entities going at once. They have like basically one single entity, and then it just seems like it works good. That's great to hear. You have good questions about that, as far as the annual, annual 1 years of payment. I mean, you can track that. You can track that dedicated use sales tax. There's never been a sign. There might have been like a dip down in some of the collections, but it's never really trended below maybe 5% less than annually. But I mean, it seems like it's a straight up projection. I mean, it's increasing.
So would we have to have him come back and talk about that? How would we find out more about that, or?
I think I could just communicate with him that that's something you're interested in, but
I
then you
thought
guys
he
are
was,
gonna have
I
to
thought he was
decide
gonna
what you
be
wanna
back,
do.
I thought he was coming back last week with the question of, could we take some of that savings and put it towards maintenance?
Oh.
Then there was another question he was gonna check and get back with us.
And that was about using the money to pay for the audit.
Correct.
And I talked to him today, and as I said, when he called him, he
Yeah, he
hadn't
called.
had the answer to that yet.
I think he called me first, and then he must have gotten a hold of you because we were in the middle of the meeting.
Well, that's what I got a text message to step out in the hallway, and then it was
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Should I contact Wes about our?
He said he was coming back up.
Well, he said that before we adjourned,
Oh, that's
I
right.
should call him.
Yeah, because we have a short executive session, I think, and then I think we're pretty much done, so.
I'll go ahead and give him a call when we step out.
But you just wanted me to text him, or?
Well, he said to give him a call, or do you want to, or I can?
Give him a call, that way you know he
How long
got
do
the
we need
message.
for exec session.
15 minutes. Oh shoot, my statute disappeared. I took too long. Yeah, and Sheila wanted to come over for it. So,
For the exec session.
yeah.
For the exec session?
Yes.
Okay.
Shelley as well or not?
I didn't talk to her, but yeah, she could, sure.
Because it involves both of them, doesn't
Yes, it does.
So I think that would be, have both of them here. I really
What's
don't.
it over? Attorney-client or
No.
personal
Yes.
matter?
We have
It
an
is
employee,
over.
we have an employee that made a boo-boo and
I'll give you the letter.
$43. It's not that big a deal.
No, we probably need to let Pauline know if we're going to that.
I probably don't plan on it.
Okay, we're going in executive.
We're gonna wait for, who's that out
What am
there?
I looking at, Brad?
Brad Sherfus.
Oh, he don't.
Well, I mean, are we going into executive? I mean, we've got,
Nobody's made a motion yet.
okay.
Hey, you guys got a minute?
Yeah,
What are we gonna do about this, west part of the alley back here?
I believe that belongs to 409.
West end, does it?
Now quote me if
It'll
I'm,
be almost impassable.
right behind the Sallyport, didn't we talk about this before and we was told that that was 409 property?
I'm not sure.
The first 100 feet of it or something?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if it would be shared or split.
Okay.
What's, you mean you can't drive back there?
Potholes.
You can, but you gotta go about 1 mile an hour.
I haven't driven back there, Brad.
Come on, we've got,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you gonna go, I don't know where I'm gonna be cropped
I'm not
off.
gonna be able to
Conduct like a fish business.
commit to that.
Safer that way. All right.
Are you gonna go to that?
What's the
check
date,
into
what's the
that.
date on it? October?
October 9th, 19th.
Let me look real quick.
October 21st.
Oh, I wasn't even close.
I just need to know so I can send it in. Okay.
Well, everything show it's on a Friday. Go ahead.
Is this commissioners, county councilor, treasurer, and clerk?
Yes, and if
Okay.
you want the register of deeds, that's.
She
She's
wasn't
not
here.
here, she's not
She's
here.
not here.
Who made the motion to go into it?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, there's a
So
second.
moved.
Been moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll go into executive session at 3:20 and come out at what'd you say, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
3:35.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
Shut the camera off. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion that we go out of executive session at 3:31 and go back into open session at 3:32, if I can make those two in one.
So motion. So moved.
Second. Been moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We're officially back in open session.
I think you need to take action on that.
Okay, now, I'd entertain a motion that we take $43.10 out to correct a situation on property or ID number.
KA01988A2.
And to take the $43.10 out of the county commissioner's budget to correct the problem.
Pay publication fees and interest on a delinquent tax.
Also move.
It's been moved. Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried 3-0. Do we want to say any more that, like, part of the problem was within the courthouse? To let the public know that that's why we,
You sure could.
I guess the camera's got it on tape now, so.
Well,
Due to the fact that the problem could have come within the courthouse, and the small amount, we just decided to take it out of the county commissioner's budget to correct the problem and get it solved.
I'm not trying to talk over you, but the situation was that property was transferred on the books, but we did not mail the new tax statement to the new owner. We mailed the tax statements to the prior owner, and the taxes were not timely paid. And so there's a question about liability for the past due, or the late
fee
fees
penalties
associated with the tax.
I think that explains it good enough. Okay. Do we have any petitions or memorandums?
The only thing is I did call Wes about the possibility of, after our vote earlier today about sending out the questionnaire to the ambulance committee advisory board. He said he hasn't gotten back, none of them have gotten back with him yet. He did ask me if it was possible, if he doesn't hear of any negativity or changes that want to be made to the current job description, is it okay for him to post?
Like when?
I mean, later this week. He said, like,
I guess we could. I guess. I mean,
that was his only question, and
I don't think it's that. I would like to, I think that we need to hear back from the EMS advisory. I mean, I still think we've got plenty within a time frame. I think we still have plenty of time within the time frame. I don't think it's mass critical. I think he's probably thinking major worst case scenario, but with the timeline, I mean.
well, I mean, I'm kind of on board more with him on the time. I think a lot of this is time critical because when you apply for those permits and things, that they're on their own timeline. They don't adhere to our timeline. But if you're not comfortable with it, I think we need to probably at least act on it next week, next Tuesday at the latest. I mean, I'd be willing to. If we haven't heard anything by then, I think we would definitely want to post.
I think that's given them ample enough time. I think they were all, here I am speaking for them, I was aware of where this was heading. And being we're not talking about adding service, taking away service, we're just talking about sending out an application for a position. I wouldn't see where they'd have any objections. But let's give them till next Tuesday, and next Tuesday we'll act on it.
It's fine.
You okay with
Okay.
that?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
I think if Wes is not getting back with us, I guess I'd entertain a motion to adjourn at 3:37. Excuse me. Yeah, 3:37, that's right.
So moved.
So moved. Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
They will officially adjourn.